Our program today is on horse brasses. Many years ago, I bought a couple of brass objects from a gift shop in Florida. They looked much like one of these. I never knew them to be more than decorative objects. In watching English TV shows, I noticed some of the brass objects on leather straps hanging in pubs. With the aid of Google, I found these items to be horse brasses. But what were horse brasses? Horses were an important possession. Owners believed that early designs of the brasses warded off evil spirits. They believed the horses were not able to protect themselves. They were used for both decoration and for protection. Here are some pictures of horses that are all decked out. They could be going to a parade or contests or just working in the fields. The earliest designs were symbols and shapes which had specific meanings to ward off evil and bring good luck. Tradition has it that the ancient Greeks and Romans considered the crescent moon a sign of good luck. The sun god's countenance was revered and held in awe by the ancient Persians, so it was a most popular symbol. Many of the oldest horse brasses depict the stars, after the manner and belief of the three wise men, who relied on one for guidance. Other popular shapes were the sacred lotus and the lyre of Apollo. Also popular was the bull's head with horns, and the horse in every possible pose. From playing cards, we find clubs, hearts, spades, and diamonds. They are popular brasses. Occasionally, brasses are seen in the shape of crosses. Old pendants bearing this Christian sign are presumed to have survived from the days of the Canterbury Pilgrims in the late 1300s. However, we do see a few new ones, such as this Queen Victoria cross in the center of the page. The United Kingdom is the place which has continued the tradition of adorning horses with brasses. Many brasses are commemorative of places and events. Here we show Edward in 1936 when he was crowned, Windsor Castle, a new sixpence in 1903, Tower Bridge, and a very special H.M. Tower of London, the Tower's Raven. We will talk more about this raven on the next slide. The Tower of London is a 900-year-old castle and fortress in central London. It is notable for housing the crown jewels, as well as many famous and infamous prisoners. It is officially the residence of Her Majesty. Thus, we see that on the medallion, H.M. Tower of London. In the 17th century, King Charles II is believed to have said, if there were ever less than 6 raven guards at the tower, a great disaster would fall on the kingdom. 6 ravens and a spare are always kept at the Tower of London. Because of this superstition, keepers need the ravens to stay. Thus, their wings have traditionally been clipped to limit how far they can fly away. Only one, named Poppy, does not have its wings clipped. In the wild, a raven can live up to 21 years, but with proper care and attention, they can live twice as long. There was a report in the Telegraph, a British publication, on May 19, 2019. As part of a breeding program, Mike Keane, 49, who runs the Boot Pub in Suffolk County, England, connected with the Tower of London's Raven Master, Chris Scaife, on Instagram. It was decided to develop a bloodline of gorgeous ravens and train them for official duties. The duties, incidentally, are to guard the tower. Mike took his own beloved raven, Grippy, to meet the ravens at the tower. The Raven Master said Mike's pet raven was the tamest raven he had ever met. Since the meeting, the first chicks in 30 years have hatched at the tower. Mr. Keene is keeping 3 young ravens in his bedroom. He said ravens can't be trained like a dog. They're way too intelligent and independent for that. But if they're given food and attention, they connect you with safety and happiness. They stick with you. He is currently teaching the young ravens to fly back to him in the gardens around his pub. Grippy, who is frequently seen on his shoulder, casts a watchful eye. Pictured are amulets who pay homage to British things. I don't know if you know where the Isle of Man is. It's a tiny island between England and Ireland, and they have British citizenship. Royalty has a lot of commemorative brasses. You see here Victoria, George, Edward, and the Prince of Wales when he married Diana. There's some Queen Elizabeth too. Here we have more royalty commemorative brasses. Farmers would have been fond of collecting agricultural subjects. These are heraldic brasses. Heraldic means an emblem of readiness to do battle. Lions are very heraldic. Here's a display of them. Here we see brasses with our beloved dogs. There's one of John Peel. John Peel's fox hunting took precedent over obligations he might have had. His son died one night in 1840. At daybreak, he received word that a fox had been astir, worrying local geese. He mustered his hounds, got them on the fox's scent, hunted and killed it. Upon returning home, he was faulted by neighbors for going hunting with his son lying dead in the house. English also love their trains. Tradesmen would at times commission their own brasses. On farms of titled gentry, horse brasses would bear the family crest or home. Titled gentry are those in the British social class who were landowners. They could, in theory, live entirely from rental income. In the very least, they would have a country estate and possibly gain. Newer brasses have newer dates and are very often the result of modern technology. Notice the Brexit medallion at the bottom. The United Kingdom left European Union at midnight, January 31st, 2020. A transition period is now in place until December 31st, 2020. The Brexit 2020 medallion led to research on the flags pictured on the brass. You see on the left the European Union flag and the countries it represents. Great Britain is the island consisting of England, Wales, and Scotland. The United Kingdom also includes Northern Ireland. You see the Union Jack, which is the United Kingdom's flag. The Union Jack is the national flag of the UK. The individual countries have flags of their own that are represented in the United Kingdom's Union Jack. Wales has no visual recognition in the Union Jack as it has been a part of the Kingdom of England since being annexed by Edward I of England in 1282. It is represented by the flag of England in the Union Jack. Now that we've discussed what might be on the brasses, Let's discuss how they are worn on the horses. The face piece is a medallion worn on the forehead and is sometimes larger than other pieces worn elsewhere on the harness. Nosebands sometimes had a brass hinged plate showing the maker's name. The facepiece, noseband, and blinders can all be interconnected. Here we see parade-ready, highly decorated show horses. And here are more decorated horses. The one on the right is decked out to pull a beer wagon. Brasses adorn both front and rear of the horse. The tails are often braided with ribbons or braided and wrapped into a tight bun. The martingale is strapping that goes from the chin or reins through the front legs to the girth belt. Most have a strap circling the back of the neck. It keeps the horse from tossing its head back, hitting the rider's head. The top of the head also has gear in the form of swingers, plumes, and bells. They screw into the head harness, behind the ears, or into the top of the collar for a finial. Here we see headgear in the form of plumage for dress-up. Now for the history. The Great Exhibition was housed within the Crystal Palace. It embodied Prince Albert's vision to display the wonders of industry from around the world. It was an international exhibition that took place in Hyde Park, London, from the 1st of May through the 15th of October in 1851. It was the first in a series of world fairs. Brasses were on display as one of the arts. Thus, by the 1880s, they were quite common. There would be horse parades and brasses given to the winner. Cast brasses are older and very heavy. Later ones were stamped with a flywheel and are much lighter. If you turn a cast brass over, you will find it has two nubs filed smooth. These used to be longer extensions that could be mounted in a vise to facilitate polishing the front. The medallions were cast in sand. The back will be rough from the grains of sand. Old leather on which the medallions are mounted will be cracked. People added more and more brasses in decoration on every conceivable part of their horse. Animal welfare groups were concerned that horses might be overladen due to the weight of the brass. Horse ornaments date back to Egypt with feathers, blankets, and tassels. The Romans had bronze ornaments in the Roman imperial period, which started in 753 BC. A complete set of horse trappings with amulets were found in North Africa in 1932. Early forms were mostly made of bronze. Some have been found in silver or gold inlaid and inset with semi-precious stones. Here we see decorated Egyptian chariots and horses, as shown in the relief of Ramses II at the Battle of Kadesh in 1275 BC. There's a wall painting from the tomb of Nebuchadnezzar in Thebes. He died in 1350 BC in ancient Egypt. The horse is believed to have come to Egypt around 1600 BC. The horse was smaller at that time and was not used for draft work. It would be about 2,000 years before horses would replace oxen as work animals. The horse collar had not been invented. The yoke collar didn't fit horses. The Egyptians valued the speed of the horse too much to put it to work. Yorkshire Museum in York, England, commemorates a historic time more than 2,000 years ago with a reenactment festival annually to a time when Romans occupied York. Romans once ruled York as a Roman fortress. This is Roman Falera. Each piece is a falera. These are from auxiliary and legionary cavalry of the early imperial period of Rome. Each falera covered a junction ring. The main horse's harness consisted of 5 junctions, which, along with the girth belt, served to hold the saddle firmly in place. Often they were heavily decorated with pendants hanging. Falera were also incorporated into the uniform of the soldiers, where they held leather straps in place on the armor. Here are some museum pieces from the Romans. Here we see the greatest extent of the Roman Empire in 117 AD. Over the centuries from 27 BC to 476 AD, the Roman Empire grew from a small Italian city to control land throughout Europe and into the Middle East and North Africa. When a female Norwegian Viking died sometime during the 9th century, she was buried wearing a status symbol, a beautiful piece of bronze jewelry worn on her traditional Norse dress. In the summer of 2016, 1,200 years after her death, the piece of jewelry was found by chance at a farm in mid-Norway. The decoration suggests that the jewelry was made in a Celtic workshop, most likely in Ireland, in the 8th or 9th century. It was originally used as a fitting for a horse's harness. The demand for horse brasses parallels the use of the horse before industrial development and reached its peak between 1850 and 1900. The combination of highly polished brasses, bells, plumes, martingales, straps, and bands made for a beautifully decorated and protected horse. They are still used today, even though the use of brasses declined greatly after World War I. Apart from exceptionally rare brasses, fine examples can still be bought rather cheaply. Their diverse nature makes them an ideal collectible. They are very popular as decorative items, especially on leather straps. The end, with one exception. Lastly, one tiny bit of unrelated trivia. I'm sure you've heard the phrase, to freeze the balls off a brass monkey. It means it's very cold. A brass monkey is a brass tray used in naval ships during the Napoleonic Wars to store cannonballs in a pyramid. The brass tray contracts faster than the iron balls in cold weather, causing the balls to fall off.